In this video, I'm going to show you how to enable push notifications in 𝗧. And the way we're going to do that is by first creating a mini website so we can host some necessary code. And then we're going to use 𝗏𝗏signal with a free account that allows us to actually send those push notifications to our users. Now, I do go through this process quite quickly. It's not overly complicated, but there's a couple of little moving parts like code snippets and stuff that you need to pay attention to. If you're part of Low Code Masters, of course, you have access to all of these snippets and my personal help to help you build this out and also expand upon it. But if you're part of Low Code School, you can also post in the community and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Now, one thing to note is that this is a fairly basic setup when it comes to push notifications. What I've done is I've kept it as fundamental as possible so people can expand upon this. But the tutorial itself is quite straightforward. We're going to go through it from start to finish and I hope you enjoy. Okay, step one is to create a free account on Netlify. And once you have created your free account, from your projects page, what we're going to do is browse to upload. We're going to locate the folder that contains the two files that I will provide in the description. And we're going to hit upload. We're going to click upload. Once it's uploaded, it will instantly spin up a website. And that is the first step. Done. Now that we have created our website, we're going to open it in a new tab and we are just going to copy the URL. Then what we need to do is go to 𝗏𝗏signal.com and create another free account here. Now, once you've created the free account, you will see something like this where it prompts you to create a new app. We're going to click new app or website. We're going to call this whatever you want, 𝗧 push notifications. I'm going to leave it as the low code organization and we are going to select web as the channel. Then we're going to configure our platform. We're going to leave it as typical site. We are going to now paste that URL that we just copied. We can uncheck auto resubscribe and then we can upload an icon that will appear in the notification. Now that we've done that, we're going to scroll down and we are going to delete the default. And then we're going to add our own push prompt and it's going to be a custom link. Now you can customize the text and the explanation and the colors. You can do whatever you want. In fact, we can make it a large button. You'll see a preview here and that's all we need to do. And then we click done. Then we can uncheck the welcome notification. Sometimes 𝗏𝗏signal has a bug where it sends double, which is not a great user experience. So I'm just unchecking that for now. We scroll all the way to the bottom and we click save. And then we scroll down and we click finish. Now 𝗏𝗏signal is ready to go. And if we go to the users, we can see that we don't have any users yet. The next step is setting up 𝗧. So once you've set up 𝗏𝗏signal, we're going to jump into 𝗧 and in the users table, we're going to add a column called push notifications/clicked and push notifications/enabled. These are both just basic Boolean columns. Then we're going to add a template column. And in that template, we're going to paste this code here. And what we're going to do is add some replacements for the URL of our mini website, the app ID of our 𝗏𝗏signal app, and we're going to replace external ID with the user email. So to fill in this information, the first thing we need to do is get the URL from our app or the mini website we just created. So we're going to copy this, come back and replace the URL. And then to get the app ID in 𝗏𝗏signal, we're going to go to settings, we're going to go to keys and IDs, and we're going to copy this app ID, come back to 𝗧 and replace the app ID with our actual app ID. Now what this is going to do is this has now given us a URL that 𝗧 users can visit to enable notifications. So as a preview, we can see that this is what they will see. Let's continue with the next table which is just setting up the actual ability to send push notifications to people. What we're going to do is create a query column called user/related. We're going to query all of the users that have push notifications enabled as checked. Then we're going to add a joined list, and we're going to join from that query all of the user emails and separate them by a little comma. Then we're going to add a JavaScript column, and in this JavaScript column we're going to use this code. Now if you're part of Low Code Masters, this is available to you to copy and paste, otherwise you can just pause and set this up. And what we're going to do is replace P1 with that list of emails that we just created in the prior column. Once we've done that, all we need to do is construct the API body that will actually be sent to 𝗏signal. So we're going to create a template column. Again, we're going to use this code. And what we're going to do is replace a number of different variables with information. So we're going to replace the app ID with the ID of our 𝗏signal app. We're going to replace the header with whatever message, whatever you want the header for your push notification to be. We're going to replace the contents with the content of the notification. And then we're going to tell 𝗏signal which emails we want to send this notification to. And so that is going to be not the joined list, but that code column that returned an array of emails. Once we click save, we now have a body that we can use in a push request. So now that the back end's done, let's get onto the front end. To set up the front end, we're going to keep it very, very basic and simple. In the layout tab, we're going to create a screen, which the source will be the users table. And what we're going to do is in options, we are going to show this tab when the user profile push notifications enabled is checked. Once you've done that, we're going to add a little text. This is some meta text that says, please enable push notifications. Below that, we're going to add a button, and we're going to have several buttons in this button block. The first is going to be enable notifications. That's the title of the button. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a little workflow. This workflow is very simple. What it's going to do is when they click it, it's going to open a link. So we select open link from interaction open link. So it's going to be user profile push notifications URL. And then after that, we are going to, for the user profile row, we are just going to set clicked as true. So it's going to open the link, and while they're on that other link, it's going to set clicked as true. Now what we're going to do is we are only going to show this when the user profile push notifications clicked is not checked. So once they check it, this initial button will be hidden. Then we're going to add another button that is virtually the same. We're going to have the action be the exact same workflow we just created, push notifications enable, but we're going to allow this when clicked is checked. And the only difference between these buttons is this says enable notifications and this says try again. So we have two buttons depending on whether they've got that clicked as checked or not. The final button is just going to be setting some column values. And we're going to be setting column values for the user profile row. And we are going to set enabled as true. And we're only going to allow this when user profile push notifications clicked is checked. So what this is going to do, it's going to initially show this enable notifications button, which is going to redirect them to our mini website where they can enable the notifications. Once they close that page, they can reopen this page and they will see two new buttons. One that says try again in case anything went wrong, and one that says done, which just essentially hides this page. So this is the first page that we're building, which is the enable page. Then what we're going to do is create a new tab. And on this tab, we are going to set the source as the push notifications table. We're going to then add a single button. And this button is going to be triggering a workflow. This workflow is very simple. In fact, it doesn't need to be a workflow. You could just have it as the call API. But what we're going to do is in call API, we are going to get the endpoint set to api.onesignal.com/notifications with a query parameter of push. It's going to be a post request. For the authorization, what we're going to do is go back to OneSignal. We're going to add a key. I'm going to call this glide notifications. We're going to create the key. We're going to copy this API key, head back to glide, and for the headers, we're going to set the authorization as that API key. The content type is going to be application/JSON. And then the request body is going to be the API body that we created in that push notifications table. Once you've set this up, you can actually test it on your phone, and that's exactly what we're going to do now. Okay, so we have our Glide app up on our phone. What we're going to do now is click Enable Notifications. We're going to click Subscribe to Push Notifications, and then Allow. And now you can see that we have a message here that says done. You can now close this page. So we're going to close this page, head back to Glide, and we can click Done. This will now hide that tab, and we can test that our push notifications are working by clicking this Send Push Notification button. Any moment now, we have a notification, and that is how you set up push notifications in Glide using OneSignal. There you go, guys. That is how you set up push notifications for your Glide app. If you're part of Low Code Masters and you need some help upgrading or expanding upon this setup, feel free to send me a DM. I'll help you as much as I can. If you're not, you can always post in Low Code School and we can try and get to you as soon as possible. As always, the code for all of these snippets will be available in Low Code Masters, but you can, of course, pause the video and copy the scripts down. But I just want to say thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next video.